Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Rudy whiteboard video for the once every 4 to 6 weeks we do this. It's time to have a real conversation. Today we're focusing on two specific topics. Pull up a chair, sit down, and learn something today. Seriously, you won't regret it. If you do, I will give you a refund at the end of this video. Today we're going to talk about two important topics. Number one, Rudy, the sealed market is the biggest bubble I've ever seen in modern history. Okay? Thank you for your feedback. Free chalupa for you. Number two, we're going to talk about options. In Wall Street, ever since the GME to the moon, diamond hands, and all this fun stuff, rocking emojis inside your ex's face, we've been through all this stuff. We understand at this point in time that options and everything, I get a lot of questions on it. People want me to have a real-world conversation and talk to, what do they say, talk to me like I'm five, act like I'm five, just explain it to me. So today we're going to talk about options trading, specifically puts and calls. We're not going to get into complex strategies with all kinds of, iron condors and straddles and strangles and all this crazy crap. We're just going to talk about puts and calls, the most basic of buying or selling options on Wall Street. Remember, options are also called derivatives. Why? Because they derive their value from an underlying item. In other words, they trace and their value moves based on an underlying stock, an equity, a bond, a debt, a basket of funds, an ETF, whatever it is. Hence the term derivative. It's one of my favorite words in the English language because it represents a very complex formula. We're not going to get into too many complicated things with it. I just want to explain the Timmy life today. I want to explain why the life of the Timmy will always fail, always be angry, and they will always be screeching on the internet and getting their pitchforks because they're always wrong and it frustrates them. And I feel a little bit sad, but then I realize that, I have Lindsay and I can eat tacos and then I don't get too sad. And then I can sit at night and look at a bunch of reserve list cards and I don't get too sad anymore. So the Timmy life is a very disappointing life for many people and they don't understand why they can't break it. So before we get too far into it, I apologize in advance. Remember, if you're really interested in sealed product or options trading, make sure you actually seek and discuss with a real licensed advisor or somebody who's really actually smart, not a guy like me who can't afford haircuts and lives in my parents' basement in Florida. But I apologize. Video. You guys can go ahead and put in the comments. Video starts at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, we're going to start with the obvious thing. We're going to start with a Magic the Gathering example, ladies and gentlemen. Rudy! Seal, yes, you in the back. Timmy, with the, no arm and one head and 3 legs? How do you have 3 legs? Okay, we're going to start with Magic the Gathering. Yes, Timmy in the back. You think all sealed products in a bubble because a box of Weatherlight is selling for $4,000 and the cards in the box are worth $100. Great question, Captain Timmy with no eyeballs. Okay, let's get right into this, ladies and gentlemen. You all are going to learn something today, whether you like it or not. Okay, we got Mr. Alligator Face. New Magic product comes out. Call time comes out to the open market. What happens? Including myself and everybody else out there, we immediately start going, what's the EV? How much money is the value of the cards? Rudy, slap my taco. What's the value of the singles? Because at point of origin, point of inception, the happy giggity night, at the point of origin, which is release date plus 0 days, all people care about, including myself and anyone on the open market, all we care about is the value of the cards within the box to try to dictate what we think the direction of the sealed product and the direction of the set is going to be. Okay, now, isn't that funny how that's the most important thing at the beginning, right? But then, Rudy, a box of Weatherlight's $3-4 grand, but the cards are worth $100. Well, technically, the cards have actually gone up. They're worth about $1,000 EV in a box of Weatherlight. Crazy. We've talked about this many times. As the years go by, the value of the sealed box goes up. Okay, so as the years increase, Y for years increase, the value, which is the dollar sign, continue to go up, right? The cards within the box, this doesn't represent declining. I don't care about rules and confusing you. This represents NFG, okay? This second line represents NFG. Okay, so as the years go by on sealed product, whether it's Poking Your Mom, Flesh and Blood, gotta say it just so you thumbs down the video for me, or Magic the Yu-Gi-Oh!ing, or the new Digimon, whatever you're into, the more years that go by, the sealed box, here's a sealed box. Look, I'll even make it 3D just for you guys. And there's a picture of me with no clothes on the sealed box. And I'm throwing the box in the air. As the years go by, the sealed box becomes more valuable. Now, the NFG of the box continues to decline. All right, I've made you guys sit long enough. NFG represents no fucks given, okay? On no fucks given is pretty much how we feel about the cards within the box that I'm throwing with my face. So as the years go by, the amount of NFG nobody cares. Do you understand? Nobody cares. In other words, the cards in the box, the value of the single cards can go straight down to 000, okay? NFG. It doesn't matter. And that's where the Timmy mindset fails. So, that's a very important thing I wanted to get out in the first couple minutes of this video. The alligator mouth gets wider. The more she practices, the mouth gets wider. Sorry, that is a giggity. The more the years go by, the spread gets wider. And that's because NFG, okay? The cards within the box are supposed to detach from the sealed box value. It is not a bubble. It's been that way since the dawn of time. You cannot have, for those of you who don't know what this is, we're going to write it in poop brown. We're going to put the word right here, ladies and gentlemen. Arbitrage. Is that even spelled right? I hope it's not, because I like the word rage and Arby's for curly fries. Do you understand? That's how arbitrage works. Anger and curly fries. So you can't have arbitrage, ladies and gentlemen. If the value of the cards in the box rises with the sealed box, you have arbitrage. If I could go on the open market and buy boxes of Weatherlight, open the boxes of Weatherlight for buy $3,000 Weatherlight, open the box and get $5,000, I'm going to rinse and repeat until one of two scenarios occur. A, there are no boxes left in the world. B, the sealed box price rises to prevent arbitrage. Arbitrage is a market anomaly that's not supposed to happen. Now the Timmy life, all they know is the new product, point of inception plus 0 release days. They believe single cards within the box always matter. The more the years they get in between the beginning and today's current date, the more no fucks given continues to become relevant. So you need to understand that. So when we look at a box today, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at a box of Fallen Tacos over here, you think to yourself, Rudy, I don't understand. What, Rainbow Veils, $10? Who's gonna pay $1,000 for Fallen Empires when everything's worth like a quarter? Okay, maybe some cards are a couple dollars now. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. That's how I know Magic's in a bubble. And you, my friend, will continue to live the Timmy life because you don't see it. You can't see past your own nose. You are so short-sighted in seeing in today's market, you don't understand the big picture of anything in this world. The big picture is usually the iceberg under the water. It's you have to dig and kind of figure out, wait a minute, I thought this was just a little tiny carrot in the ground. I dig in the ground, it's not a little carrot. There's an entire empire underground. And that's what the Timmy life doesn't seem to understand. And that's why the Timmy life always struggles. It'll be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. They will continue to be angry and upset, and they will struggle financially because the decision-making is the core component of the problem. It's not that they weren't born into a trust fund. I wish I had a trust fund that would save me 10, 15 years of working and turning wrenches and automotive and waiting tables and slinging drinks and trying to go to school and get these real jobs. The real world is that it's not about what you're born with, although that can help speed things up. It's not really about how much money you have right now. It's not really about what kind of job you have right now. It's about your mindset and what you plan on doing. And that really dictates the direction of the future. Yes, having more capital and resources up front, you can accelerate the process. You can't say, well, Rudy, I don't have any money and I can't do anything. That is a mindset of, I choose to stay that way. You need to choose to make a different decision because clearly what you're doing must not be working. And that is a personal decision that you have to change something. If you don't have enough money, you need to get a second job. You need more money, you need to make more money by getting a second job, a side hustle, or changing jobs, or quitting. You need to line something else up. Do it responsibly, do it cautiously. Don't just run out there middle finger and run out the back door. Giggity? And, you know, it's about the Timmy life and the mindset. So that's the first part of this video. So as you can see, that is the true understanding of why sealed product moves the way it does. Last year in 2020, in the third, fourth quarter, when I started buying shards of Alara booster boxes for between $300 and $330, and I got up to about 40, 50 boxes, I had a hard time finding more because there just weren't any on the open market. I knew they existed, but I knew the people who had them were going to start becoming very resilient to selling me those additional boxes. So, anyways, part 2 of this video as we continue forward, everybody. On the shards of Alara boxes, I knew they were $500 to $800 boxes. Now, the market overshot and put shards of Alara at like $1,000, $1,200 a box because we had a huge surge of inflation across the board, which I did not factor into my calculation at the time. But I knew a box that was literally 10 years old, that was very unique and had a bunch of bizarre crap, was extremely cheap and undervalued. Same thing with Conflux, same thing with Scars of Mirrodin, Mirrodin Besiege, blah, blah, blah. So, the reason the market never raised the price before I started buying that particular thing is because the market had the Timmy Life mindset that $300 a box was correctly priced. And they justified that because they said, well, if a Scars box is, what's a good example? If a Shards of Alara box is 300 and the cards in the box are 100, well, clearly, you know, a multiple of 3x is the correct price for a Shards of Alara box, right? That's incorrect. A Shards of Alara box is what? What year was that? Was it 10 years old? So we are way out here. A Shards of Alara box is 10 years old. Do you realize how big the No Fox Given is? We're way down here. So the cards in the box and the value, they shouldn't even have any correlation almost anymore. Literally, the correlation should literally be like a 1% part of the calculation of the variable of the sealed product when I look at it. And that's what I did. I assigned a value. I said, if the cards in the box are $100, a Shards of Alara box should be $600. And that was my price target. Now, of course, during this time period, we also experienced tremendous inflation and outside variables that accelerated the $600 price target to $1,000. It overshot it. Now, we may see a retrace back to $700 to $900, which really doesn't mean anything to me one way or the other. And if it actually goes back to maybe even 400, 500, I'd buy more. But at this point in time, you're never going to get back to the original 300. Even if, remember, every 10 steps you go up the staircase, it's healthy to sit down on the staircase, take 2 steps down, and reevaluate your life on the staircase before you decide to roll yourself all the way down. That's normal in market conditions. Same thing with stocks. If a $10 stock goes to $20, $30, $40, it's normal for that $40 stock to do a retrace to maybe $30 and stabilize, go through consolidation, find its support areas, and then move forward. That's very normal. So that brings me to options and derivatives. The Timmys, here's the thing. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give you a little introduction here. When you deal with options and derivatives, it attracts, how do I say this without saying it a Rudy way? When you deal with options and derivatives, it attracts mostly a lot more amateur investors that should ever have no business touching it because they don't fully understand what they're doing. So let me explain what that means to you all, okay? We're going to get rid of Arby's curly fries. We're going to get rid of our anger and rage. We're going to get rid of the NFG. We're moving on here, folks. We're moving on. We're moving on. Okay. So I want to explain a few things to you all. When you buy a contract, I don't know which one to pick on. You want to pick on an Apple or a Tesla? Let's just pick on XYZ stock. When you buy a contract in XYZ, and the stock is $100 a share, okay? You say, Rudy, this stock is going to 1,000. Okay, that's great. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? Well, I don't have a lot of money. Okay, well, that's my first red flag that you need to walk away right now. Option trading is extraordinarily high risk. It was actually not invented and actually created for regular people like you and me to buy and sell these type of contracts. They were not invented for that. They were invented as a means of liquidity for hedging for very large portfolios, and they were invented as a way to kind of really engage in more complicated transactions for institutional investors. Okay? Because they say, Rudy, I'm going to place a bet on my options contract that this thing's going to go to $1,000 within 12 months. And I said, whoa, okay. So I'm not going to get into some things. For those of you who are very astute in this field, we're not going to get into the Greeks. We're not going to go into the Theta gang. Theta is one of the 4 Greeks where you talk about time erosion on the underlying contract. Now, technically, every day you own the contract, as you approach expiration, it dissolves a little bit in value. It erodes. It has time erosion. We're not going to get into much into implied volatility, which is the market where it sets how volatile this $100 stock is. Does it move a little bit, or does it move like this? And whether the stock moves like this or it moves like this is going to change the value of that contract based on implied volatility. We're not going to get too much into that either. But overall, what I do want to get into is why amateurs, Timmy-like people out there, they want to say, well, Rudy, I've got $1,000. So I'm going to bet my whole $1,000. I'm going to take this $1,000 I have, that's all I got, and I'm going to bet it on one contract. And so I'm going to take my $1,000 and I'm going to bet this stock is going to go here to $1,000 a share within 12 months. That's okay. So if you're right and it goes above 1,000 in only a couple months, you're going to have a lot of time left and you're going to have a lot of value. Your $1,000 bet's probably going to have a 5x return to 3, 4, 5,000 because you got it right. And congratulations, good for you. The Timmy life, you hit a black swan event and you will be successful and make some returns. Now, here's the thing people don't understand. When you look at this, you say, okay, cool, this is kind of nice. The problem is, it's more complicated than that, everybody. Because if the stock stays flat, you lose. If the stock goes down, you lose. If the stock goes down just a little bit, you lose. If the stock actually goes from 100 to 200, or even 500, it goes to 200, if it goes to 300, you lose. If it goes to 500, you lose. So let me explain something to you all. This entire outcome on the right here, all of these possible end results, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, all the way to right here, you lose on every scenario across the board except the happy land. So what you're not calculating is it's not whether or not the stock goes up. You're betting on the degree of the movement and the timing of the movement. Because when you break it down like this, you realize, well, wait a second, in Rudy's primitive, terrible example with his hand-drawn basement board here, you realize every scenario is a bad outcome for you, except the one particular scenario. You understand? So what you're realizing is, it doesn't matter if the stock goes up or down doing it. You've got to be extremely active. You can't be right. You've got to be extremely right. And in modern society, it is just damn near impossible to be extremely accurate. So, this is why most people fail the Timmy life. Because they don't have much capital. They're required to take excessive risk. You take excessive risk, it's almost like it guarantees you stay in the hamster wheel. Because you're looking for the shortcut. When you look for the shortcut, you're never going to come out of it. And of course, someone's going to come and say, Rudy, I know one guy who did. There's always going to be an outlier. That's not what we talk about here. We're not talking about outliers. When I make very large investment decisions on buying real estate and adding to my housing situation, or buying sealed product, whether it's Fallen Empires, Shards of Alara, Rudy's favorite Weatherlight, Revised boxes, even the new Zendikar Collector boxes, Commander Legends, Commander 2018, Commander 2019, Commander 2020, doesn't matter what it is. You have to fully be able to make these decisions and look at the data with absolutely zero emotion. When I look at a scenario like this, I say, why on God's green earth would you want to make this decision? Because even if the stock doubles to 200, you still lose. Even if it's, you have to be specifically correct. And along the way, every day that marches closer to that 1-year expiration date of your contract, you lose money. So that leads me to why the Timmy's mindset continues to be angry, continues to be unhappy, because they're making decisions that are bad. They don't realize they're making bad decisions. Because all they know is, I don't have access to much money, so I need to leverage up, take excessive risk, and go for the big kill. And going for the big hits, the big kill, trying to hit big, will lead you to the Timmy trap and never get ahead. Because you're taking excessive risk. Okay, let me explain something to you all. Wealthy individuals who've already made it in this world, who have net worths in the millions, they don't do stuff like this. Regular working people are so desperate, and I know that sounds terrible, everybody. They're so desperate to get ahead or get out of debt, or they're frustrated with their job or their boss. They literally will do anything to better their life. And I respect the hustle. You got to respect that drive of wanting. But at the same time, they're trying to take shortcuts. Options are shortcuts. They are situations where people are trying to get rich by using a small amount of money. We've talked about it many times on the channel post. In part 3 of this video, we discussed it. We've said many times. You cannot take shortcuts in life because you're stacking the odds against you and you're taking excessive risk. This is a great example of, again, higher net worth individuals, people with big collections. They don't do this kind of stuff, folks. They don't take these kind of risks. I don't take these kind of risks. I think it's crazy. It doesn't work. And if it does work, you get lucky. You get confident and cocky. You go back to war until you lose. And like I've tried to explain to everybody on in this YouTube channel, when it comes to collectibles and stocks and bonds, you have to manage risk. If you take shortcuts, you're gonna get slaughtered. You can't do that, because what people fail to understand when it comes to buying and selling contracts on Wall Street is it is skewed against you. You're not betting on whether or not you're going to be right or wrong. You're betting on the timing of being right or wrong, and the timing is the ultimate black swan, impossible thing to predict in this world. You cannot predict timing of anything in this world. In trying to place any form of financial instrument on betting with timing and betting on time and when something's going to happen on a timeline is the ultimate Timmy life and Timmy Blue of failure, because you are setting yourself up for excessive risk and excessive losses. It's not very smart. So now we're going to pause in the opposite conversation. We're going to go back to magic. We're going to go back to talking about magic. Now we're going to pick on. What should we pick on? You guys, what scars or mirrored in the set, or let's pick on something different. Should we pick on Kaladesh? No, we pick on Kaladesh a lot lately. Let's pick on Revise, maybe? And Revise is a hot thing, right? Okay, yeah, let's pick on Revise. That's a hot thing right now. So a Revise box today, I don't know what you guys want to say, $15,000 for a Revise box. So let's say a Revise box at $15K for one box right now. Rudy, is that a bubble? Should I touch that? Should I walk away? Revise at $15K. Feels like a bubble, man. Feels like a scam. Is it? So as we talked about before, why Rudy would feel comfortable putting $15,000 in a box of Revised when I'm not comfortable placing a bet or an options contract or a derivative on Wall Street with a timer. I don't like the timer. Okay, overall, that is the issue right there. Again, don't get me wrong. I've bought and sold options many times in my life, and I mostly do with small amounts of money, and I do it more just for more fun or to be a part of it kind of thing, you know? It kind of is what it is. You know, that's really about all I have. I mean, overall, though, I don't really engage in a lot of it with really large amounts of money. I may take $500 or a couple $100, and I may buy a little option contract. It pops up 10-20% in a day or two, and I'll close it out, or I'll lose $100. I'll do just mostly for fun. It's really more for entertainment, and I just like to be a part of it and still play in it. But it's not something I'm doing as a long-term play like I would buying a $15,000 box of Revised. Now let's explain this example here. $15,000 box of Revised. There's no expiration date. Well, people can say in 1,000 years if the card won't break down, I guess. You know, you can kind of argue something like that. There's no expiration date like there is on a Wall Street option company. Okay. We also know the supply is very low and very tight. Very good giggity on there. It's a very low supply of the Revised box. So let's I guess we'll write down what we know for a fact. So we know for a fact we have low supply, right? Sorry, my left-handed handwriting will come out. We know for a fact that there's no expiration, so there's no X. Okay, we don't have an expiration date where we could lose our $15,000. We know it's such an old product that the NFG, come on folks, keep up. The NFG of the cards in the box. So we know it's old, okay? We know it's very old. We know it has reserve list cards, and we know that chances are it has a higher probability of the actual EV of the cards actually going up than they do going down. So let's look at all the variables. We know there's a finite amount of supply. I know some people are going to immediately say, it's like, Rudy, it's like Bitcoin. There's only so many Bitcoins. It's not like Dogecoin or Dogecoin. Even though I still think it's the greatest thing ever. I do own Dogecoin because it's just the best meme ever. And it's so ridiculous. It's probably going to work, and it just cracks me up. It just cracks me up. It's a picture of a cute dog. Who cares? So low supply. The supply is finite. There is a certain amount of these boxes that are left in the market. We know you can hold them whenever. If they don't go up or if they go back down to 12K, just wait. You're not on a timer. You don't care what happens. You know they're very old. Therefore, it's, you know, no matter what the internet will tell you, the ability to counterfeit very old cards and very old things is very, very difficult, especially as paper ages, the plastic seals age. It's very, it gets, it's very easy to more counterfeit newer technology, newer items, newer cards. It's very, very challenging to counterfeit very old items. The older it is, the harder it is to counterfeit very good, especially as the paper, card stock, and the certain materials age, and they age. It's very difficult. So, we also know it has reserve list cards inside of our $15,000 revised box. We also know these reserve list cards have a very high probability of continuing to either stay flat or increase in value. And if they go down in value, it's short term. So we also know we can make an assumption based on all these variables right here. We can take all these categories of 4 things right here, knowing that this is the outcome, that chances are it's going to come back to this and push this to probably 20K plus. So based on the data and the underlying things that we pay attention to, it tells us that we are playing in a field, a playground, this is Rudy's playground now, that doesn't have the same risk reward as buying a derivative or an option contract, because there's no expiration dates, you don't have the extreme leverage, and it's a very different beast. I like this playground. I understand this playground, and the risk reward is a lot more comfortable for me to sleep at night. Now, what has happened recently is, unless you've been living under a rock, Revise, this is a great example of long-term EV that actually continues to really support it, which, again, the box is 20 plus years old. The value of the cards in the box are never going to hit $15,000. Let me be straightforward with you all. And people who say you open a box of Revise and you get $1,000 worth of cards, why would you pay $15,000? Well, actually, I think last I saw, expected value of a Gem Mint box of Revise cards, isn't it like $2,000 now or $3,000? I'm not sure. It's okay, let's just say $2,000. Let's make it easy. So if a box of Revise is an expected value, an EV of 2.5K, and the sealed box is at 15K, well, wait a minute, that doesn't seem too bad, now does it? Does that seem bad to you guys? That's like, what is that, a 6X? I think that's a 6X multiplier of the value of the cards of the sealed product. That's nothing. So that brings me to the next interesting topic for you all. We're going to erase the Revised over here, and I want to show you guys something. So 3-4 years ago, when I started buying Stronghold boxes, this is what happened. The EV of Stronghold boxes hit $500 a box. This was due to Sliver Queen and Mox Diamond popping in value. So all near mint condition cards in 2018, 2019, the Sliver Queen and Mox Diamond near mint started to hit an expected value of $500 for a box of Stronghold. And then I did a couple Stronghold box openings, and I realized the average box of Stronghold actually has more than one Mox Diamond or Sliver Queen. Of those 2 cards, you tend to get a total of 3 to 4 per box, even a bad box. I learned very quickly that EV may not even be very accurate. And at that particular point in time, a box of Stronghold had just hit $1,000 a box. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, an EV of 500, a sealed value of 1,000, a ratio of 2? 2x? It's like, what? So then I stood back and I asked myself, is Mox Diamond, Sliver Queen, it actually isn't. It's very good. What's the cards? They're either overpriced, and those cards have to go down in value. Or these sealed boxes, whatever's left in the world, is the most undervalued thing I've ever seen in the last couple of years. And that was the point in time that I expanded from 5 boxes of Stronghold to 25 boxes of Stronghold. Can you guys see that? 25 boxes of Stronghold. Interesting. I felt very, very bullish. And very, 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 very confident. All right. Going in 30 minutes of this video. I know, what is this, like part 3, I think? Holy cow. So in part 3 of this video, as I told you guys, I expanded my Stronghold position because I saw this. This was the catalyst that made me make my huge move in Stronghold. Same thing with Weatherlight, that'll be another video, but this was the catalyst right here. Right here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna put this in green. This is probably the most important Oh, that marker doesn't work? Well, that's flipping disappointing. Do we have a green that works? All right, so this right here was the moment. That was my tipping point, as they say. Google it. Great book. You should read that. Go on Amazon, tipping point. That was the tipping point for me when I saw that. Because I knew at the end of the day, this had to come down or this had to go up. And if I had to pick between 50-50, these reserve list cards like Mox Diamonds and Sliver Queen. And by the way, now there's a bunch of other cards in Stronghold that have actually skyrocketed that I didn't even calculate. I based the whole thing on literally Mox Diamond, Silver Queen, and Snaring Bridge. And now there's a ton of other cards. So now, fast forward, ladies and gentlemen, into 2021, this box has gone $10,000. $10,000 for a box of Stronghold. I saw a sold one for $9,000. Okay, so we got a 10x. We got a 10x gain over here. Crazy, huh? So the question is, are we still at that? No, we're not. This moved up a little bit. Moved up to an EV of about $1,000, which was actually quite impressive. And I actually still think that's a little low because of duplicate multiple rares. Look on this YouTube channel. Go Alpha Investments, Stronghold box opening. I actually opened a box of Stronghold for a patron years ago. He paid me $499 for that box of Stronghold. He hit 2 Mox Diamonds and 2 Sliver Queens. He hit 4 in one box for $499. You know what the funny thing is? I know this guy doesn't watch this channel. After we did that transaction, he closed his account and turfed me out. He told me I was the worst thing that happened to me. And that was the guy who did the most epic Stronghold box opening ever. But he got all those names. I think he even sent them off for free. Probably 10x this much. Anyways, fun fact about life, isn't it? Life works in funny ways, ladies and gentlemen. So, the question you got to ask yourself now: if this only went from here to here, and this went 10x in growth, is this accurate? Is this right here? Are these two numbers in line? So now we go back over here. We put these together right here. And you know what the funny thing is? That's a 10x multiplier. So the cards in the box are worth 1,000. The sealed box is 10,000. You know what's funny? That's exactly where it should be. Isn't that crazy? That's exactly where it should be. And the market figured out where the true value is. The market devalued the price of the box because the market got it wrong. The market was screwed up, distorted, because of price memory. And the market was wrong for years. This is actually the correct price for a box of Stronghold. A good deal for a box of Stronghold would probably be 5, 6, 7,000. The actual value of a box of Stronghold, I do believe, is actually justifiable at $10,000 a box. And I do think long term that will continue to rise, because I think this will continue to rise, and I think the lack of low supply as people do box openings, and I do believe in the future also. I know a lot of you don't want to hear this. I do believe, similar to what Pokemon is going through, there will be a time that Magic goes through it, where I think we're going to have a lot of streaming people selling slots, like Pokemon box openings and big YouTubers, and everybody buys one pack of Stronghold, and I do think Magic will have its day. I don't know if it's going to be next month, next year, or 10 years, but it's going to have its day. And all that's going to do is make this supply lower and drive up the price, and of course drive everything up across the board. And by that time, the boxes are going to be even more older, and I don't think it's going to matter. So essentially, think about it. That's the right price. Now let's jump over to Revised again. Revised box, $15,000. Expected value of Revised box is over $1,000 a box. It's like $1,200, $1,300. Guess what? $1,200, $1,300 EV on Revised, $15,000. Guess what? It's the same 10x ratio. Kind of coincidental, don't you think? Box of Weatherlight. Box of Weatherlight, Rudy. Box of Weatherlight used to be $400, right? A box of Weatherlight. I'm sorry, a box of Weatherlight. Wrote that in the wrong spot. Used to be $400, and the cards within the box of Weatherlight actually used to be $100. Now, which is like a 4x ratio there, which is about where it should be, right? Where it should be. How old is Weatherlight? Oh wait, 20-something years old, and it's 4x. Seems a little funny, doesn't it? So a box of Weatherlight skyrockets to $3K, $3,000. So what did the expected value of Weatherlight go to? $200, $300? The expected value of Weatherlight, as I had predicted, the market got it wrong. The market didn't know how to price this because we don't have any history of this. The market went through a nasty, hard learning curve. So what happened? The value of the cards in Weatherlight, the expected value of Weatherlight now? 5x. You know what's funny? The cards in the box of Weatherlight are $500. The sealed box is $3,000. That's pretty cheap compared to 10. Weatherlight at $3,000 a box is still cheap. That's why even Weatherlight at $3,000 a box, I've still been continuing to add to my position with any box of Weatherlight that's below $3,000. Because I know it's crazy. And you're thinking it already a bubble, Rudy, it's gone up so much. And that's the problem. You're using your human reaction, your human emotion, and you're frustrated because you have price memory. Because you're living the Timmy life. And you keep thinking, well, I'm going to wait for it to pull back. I'm going to wait for it to go back down. When Bitcoin goes back down to 3,000, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. When doggy coins go back down to a half a penny, I'm going to buy doggy coins. Ethereum, Litecoin, all that other stuff. I'm not a crypto guy. I got to admit, it's fun to watch that stuff. But, you know, that's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. The Timmy mindset. After these big numbers, 3,000 for Weatherlight, 10,000 for Stronghold, 15,000 for, oh, it's not on there, for Revives. The Timmy mindset. It was a temper tantrum. Well, you know what we need to do? We need to contact Wizards and get rid of the reserve. Reprint old box. What do we need to do? They are so out of their element. They still don't get it. And that's why their life doesn't change. Because they spend their time flailing and pitchforking, attacking, or maybe attacking some small store somewhere in the country, or review bombing a small store. We need to boycott a store because they did A, B, C, X, Y, Z. They focus their efforts and energy on very short-term market noise, very poor decision-making. And unfortunately, that leads to, the hamster wheel, where you don't get ahead and you run in circles. And you get older, and either one or two things happen when you're older. You either regret the stupid time you wasted on anything, or, well, you don't realize what you did wrong. When you get older, and you're 70, 80 years old, you're still working, trying to pay bills, or pay your apartment's rent, or paying a mortgage. You've been in the house for 50 years, and you refinance it 3 times, and you use your house as a piggy bank, and you bet on options and lost the money. Now you're paying off lines of credit. Your credit cards are maxed out. You're dealing with it because you're making decisions that are leading you to paths that are bumpy, but you don't see it. You're making decisions that you feel are going to help you. Or, no one purposely makes bad decisions, but in their mind, they feel they're the right decisions. It's the same thing as people buying scratch-off tickets. They just need one more hit. The next scratch-off. I'm telling you, Rudy, one more is all I need to get me out of the hole and get me back to green. The gambler's fallacy takes over. Price memory takes over. Emotion takes over. And the emotion is what I see most of the time of people complaining about $10,000 Stronghold, $15,000 Revives, $3,000 Weatherlight, whatever it is, because they use the same thing of, oh, well, the expected value's not there. So obviously, they're wrong, I'm right. The real world doesn't really work that way. Do I fully agree with a 10x multiple versus a 6x? Do I fully agree with these multiples? Not really, because there's no way to know if these multiples are high or low or accurate. Like Wall Street, what kind of PE ratio do you assign Tesla? What kind of PE ratio do you assign Amazon? What kind of PE ratio do you assign, some sort of, Nikola or Snowflakes or Lemonade or all these new tech companies or what they call market disruptors? How do you handle it? How do you do it? You don't know. So everybody argues different perspectives. But it's important to understand, kind of like Elon Musk, what he says. The most ridiculous outcome isn't the most likely. And the things that seem the most absurd are probably going to happen. You have to stay with the tigers. folks, welcome back. My name is Rudy. You're watching I try to discuss real topics and make people unhappy in the infamous Rudy Whiteboard monthly video. Today's topic is going to be a little interesting. The topic is going to be why. People ask me, Rudy, comment something about real estate. Why is that happening? Okay. Rudy, comment something about old Magic cards. Why is that happening? Rudy, comment something about this new, all these new hot startup games, these Flesh and Bloods and MetaZoos. Why is it, what's with this phenomenon? You know, and so that's really going to be the concept of this video for everybody, is to really go over some of the more specifics on why I believe that prices of different things are occurring in mid-2021. This is the beginning of August 2021. Hopefully you see this video somewhere around mid-August 2021. So first we're going to start off with the simplest topic, real estate. Now that we're going to get into it, I am going to act like a professional. So I am going to put on the world famous Rudy pink visor, so you know it's a serious video. We're not going to be doing giggities and talking about stepmoms and people getting stuck in dryers and couches or in windows. This is going to be a real video. You're not supposed to smile. You're not supposed to enjoy this. So, as always, if you want real financial advice, actually seek someone who's got like those licenses and the government thinks it's real and doesn't live in their parents' basement. Because again, I'm an entertainer. Spend all my money on the visor. So we're going to talk about real estate first. Rudy, what do you think the long-term implications are of investors in Wall Street starting to buy out all these houses all over the United States? Why is this happening? What do you think this is going to lead to? And what are your concerns? I said, okay. Well, that's a great why question. So, first, let's talk about the obvious. All these regular little houses all over the United States, that's what a house looks like. There's me. There's my hat. And if you haven't noticed, real estate market's going crazy. Mostly, a lot of the influence is due to institutional money coming from large corporations, all these invitation homes, BlackRock, and they're putting billions of dollars buying out real estate all over the United States, specifically in locations like Colorado, Florida, Texas. Not as much in places like California, New York, New Jersey, but more of the more tax-friendly, business-friendly locations around the U.S., and they are going very, very aggressively. Why is this happening, and what does this mean for regular families? So this is going to be a pretty nasty thing a lot of people may not realize. So you need to get this. This institutional money doesn't have much of a budget. They don't care about... Okay, let's just go into it, shall we? Let's just take a real example here, okay? Does this marker work? This marker does work. We're gonna do pretty blue to make everybody feel good on the inside. Timmy and his wife, Tammy. 2 T's? Timmy and Tammy want to buy this house right here, okay? Here's the problem. This house is $300,000. Timmy and Tammy have been saving their money and say, Rudy, you know, we got to do 20% down so we don't have to pay PMI on our mortgage, which is mortgage insurance if you default. It's a waste of $100, $200 a month. You always have to do 20% down to avoid that. And of course, there are all these special programs to get around it. So, Timmy and Tammy need to put 20% down to buy this $300K house. That's $60K they have to put down to take out a mortgage of $240K. We're going to just leave closing costs and all the other foo-foo out. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to pretend it's a brand new house, no repairs, everything's brand new. Okay? The actual use, the dirt, the roof is brand new, the AC is brand new, it's a new construction. You have to worry about usable parts, you have to worry about how much life expectancy is left in any of the items, new property. Here's the problem. Timmy and Tammy go to see the house. They love it. They say, you know what, we'll pay you the full $300,000 asking price for this new house. We want it. Okay? All of a sudden, here he comes. The big bad Wall Street man comes over here. I don't know why he's got weird arms. And he's got a triangle hat. Do evil people have triangle hats? I don't know. And he's got a mean face on. And he says, you know what? Screw that. We'll take the house for $400K. What? So all of a sudden, he throws $400K at this house that's worth $300K. Appraisal comes back. The bank says, sure, house is worth $300K, so all you need is 20% down. We will give you a mortgage 80%. 80% loan to, ratio, all that crap, 80-20. So here's the problem, folks, what the public is not seeing. When Wall Street comes in and throws a bid of 400, the appraisal on the property normally still shows 300K. They don't care because they're paying cash. And here's the problem. Timmy and Tammy say, fine, fine, fine. We'll take the house. We'll pay $401K, final offer, and they back away. Evil Wall Street guy backs away. Now here's the problem. The appraisal is most likely still going to be set because it was already performed at $300K. It's going to go to the bank and the underwriters, and that property that's worth $300K is only qualified to have an 80% loan on it. 80% loan means the mortgage, the bank is only going to issue a mortgage for $240K because the bank says it's worth $300K from their independent appraisal. Now that you're paying $401K, the bank doesn't come back and say, our bad. Okay, we're going to give you, you know what, this $240 for the mortgage? No, you offered $401. We're going to give you a mortgage for $320K. No. Doesn't work that way. That's a big fat red X. That's a giant rubber black tire. It just doesn't work that way. That's a funny giggity. Come on, give me a little funny. So here's what's really going to happen. In order for Timmy and Tammy to buy this house, the mortgage is still only going to be $240. So their down payment of $60K is no longer valid. Now, this $400,000 purchase, which the bank will give them $240, the $60K that they saved their life savings to purchase, they now need a down payment of how much, folks? Boom. You ready? Boom. They have to have a down payment of $161,000, which the average person is not going to have. So just because the house price went up 20-something%, their down payment went up 300% or 250%. You start to see this here. So here's the problem with this stuff. The Wall Street evil guy with a triangle hat over here, they know that the regular people trying to buy this house with their giant top hat with Timmy and Tammy, they know those people are not going to have $160K. So they know if they overbid, these people, Timmy and Tammy, or regular people like you all watching, cannot compete. They know this. It's skewed. It's not an accident. They know by overbidding, they lock in the new property and they don't give two Fs because these Wall Street people, trust me, have lines of credit, LOCs. These people are going to have, oh my goodness, they're going to have commercial lines of credit, maybe backed by collateralized paper or Fed funds window, whatever stupid stuff. They're going to have probably a line of credit for, let's say, $1 billion, okay? Let's say evil hat people have a line of credit of $1 billion. Let's say their interest rate is 2%, which actually is probably going to be less than that with Fed funds at what? A quarter? What's Fed funds? A half? 25? 50 basis points? Whatever it is. The government is going to lend big triangle evil people at, let's say, 0.5%. So their cost is 0.5. The bank is going to give this private equity group, they're going to lend the money at 2%. So the bank is going to net 1.5, what they call their NIM. Their net interest margin on there is going to be 1.5. So the bank is going to get money from the government at 0.5. They're going to lend it to this division of evil triangle people, and they're going to triple their money from 0.5 to 2, netting 1.5. Then they're going to turn around and just buy the living shit out of everything. It's pretty scary, isn't it? It's pretty effing scary. That's what's happening. That's why it's a big deal. This is what is frustrating to me because you can't discuss this stuff. People don't want to hear it. People don't understand it. People don't want to watch long, boring videos with guys with triangle hats and Timmies and Tammies and pink visors from the 80s. I like the sound of that. I can hear my own brain moving. How much empty space is up there? You see what I'm getting at? That it's so complicated. It's not a simple thing of just, oh, people are overbidding the houses because they're worth that. No, when you have an outside influence of billions of dollars that's accessible from the government and it was 0%, anything below 3 or 4%, in my opinion, is free tendy. It's free money. If you can borrow $1 billion at 1 or 2%, dude, you can buy a single A, double A rated bond and get 3% and net 1% on $1 billion, you're rich. You're done. You're set for life. That's literally all it takes. It's that stupid. You have to understand, economies of scale. When these numbers get big, all the normal rules you and I were taught go out the window. It becomes completely, utterly insane, folks. I don't know how else to say. Anyway, part 2 of this video, moving forward here. I wanted to paint this example to let you all know what happens when you're trying, Timmy and Tammy, the regular person wants to buy a house for 300K, and triangle evil-headed people come in with unlimited money, and they just throw 400 and they get the deal. That's why you can't compete. It's not, oh, 3 to 400? Okay, so 20% of 300K, that's 60K down. My wife and I have saved that. No big deal. Oh, 400K? Instead of 60K, all we need is 80K for 20% of 400, right? So we just need 20K more. Wrong. You now need 161K. So you spent your whole life saving 60, you now need 160. All because you moved from 3 to 400, but because the bank is not willing to lend on the inflated price. The reason banks aren't willing to lend on the inflated price is because they dealt with this stuff in 08, 07 with subprime. They have all kinds of stricter standards and loan to debt ratios and all this equity stupid stuff. The point is, the appraisal is going to come back based on X, Y, Z. Now, so there's a bidding war, and outside evil triangle hat people, that goes higher. The bank is not going to change their standards. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, Rudy, what if all the houses get bid over, and then it does change the appraisal? Okay, well then that is a different conversation that will eventually take place as the evil triangle hat people buy all the houses around them. But chances are the evil triangle hat people are going to buy this house, maybe one house in another neighborhood, one house in another one. They're probably not going to buy this house and the 10 of them next to each other. They're not going to probably own the whole street. Now, it happens, but most likely they're going to diversify because a lot of these hedge fund, Wall Street, BlackRock, Invitation Homes, all these fancy acronym names for groups of people who are just throwing money. Their job is to park money. Now, they're also trained that there's rules for parking that money, which is usually you can't own more than 1 or 2 houses on within 10, 20 house block. You can only have so many houses per neighborhood, so many houses per zip code. There are different internal contingencies and strings attached for how to leverage and deploy this capital. Okay? So, yeah, technically you can eventually raise the value of the house by everybody who was bidding, but it's more complicated. And on top of that, it's very difficult to get the bank to either get another appraisal, accept the high, it's complicated. And by the time you're doing that to try to get your numbers right, someone else is going to come along and just take it from under you, and you're not going to get the house anyway. Timmy and Tammy are going to go back to living in creepy guy's basement. Okay, that's why. That's why, folks. So we're going to erase this, and we're going to move on from real estate because I just want to explain to you all an example so that we can now leverage the next conversation here. Okay? The next conversation here, we're going to head over to collectibles. Okay? Now we're going to head over to, let's just start with the big boy. Good old Magic the Yu-Gi-Oh-ing. Or we're not going to poke your mom, it's just Magic the Yu-Gi-Oh-ing. So Magic, MTG, World of Wizards of the Rudy, Watsy's Coast, Papa Hasbro. This same concept is happening in the world of collectibles. We saw it happen with Pokemon. We saw it happen with new startups. We're seeing it happen right now, as of the filming of this video, with MetaZoo going to the moon. We saw it happen with Flesh and Blood. We saw it happen, obviously, with the Pokemon craze of 2020, 2021. Even though it's come down, it's still super expensive still. It's nowhere near where it used to be years ago. And we're seeing it in Magic on a different type of scale. So first, we're going to start with good old MTG. We'll get rid of the evil red marker. We're going to go back to our happy blue. Our happy little blue marker here. Okay? And we're going to put a happy little tree right in this corner. Okay? Nice little happy Florida palm tree. Okay? And it's not a firework, but it's a palm tree. Okay? So don't tell anybody about my happy tree. Now, in the world of Magic, this concept applies to dealing with high-end stuff. Reserve list, sealed boxes, anything that's deemed investable, collectible long term. Okay? So let's pick on something. What are we going to pick on today? We want to pick on Revise? We always pick on Revise. Weatherlight. Rudy always talks about Weatherlight. Let's pick something different. What are we going to pick on? Let's pick on something weird today. The Dark. That's always a hot. No. Fallen Empires or Homelands. Let's pick on something weird. I like Fallen Empires or Home. Let's pick on Fallen Empires. No. Should we do the Dark? Dark has a lot more reserve lists. Let's do the Dark. Okay. Let's pick on the Dark. Okay. Let's get rid of the evil. Let's get rid of this marker. Let's go over to a nice poop brown color. So we're gonna go to this nice the Dark here. All right. Ooh, that's a nice color. I like this one. That's a really nice marker. Cool. Perfect. Okay. So the Dark. This box is the Dark. Let's give a little backstory here. Boxes of the Dark for the longest time. We're between 4 and 6. Okay. So when Rudy started buying boxes of the Dark, they started out at around $400 a box. Okay. Pretty cheap, huh? Well, in the time, even when I bought them for $400 or $500. They were deemed expensive. Very few people wanted them. If it was on eBay and an auction, I wouldn't really get bid against very often. Now, Boxes of the Dark, then I remember I sold a Box of the Dark for $1,000. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, somebody, 2015, 16, I sold a Box of the Dark for $1,000. Not gonna admit, I remember bragging to my family, Mom, Dad, I just sold a Box of the Dark for $1,000. Ladies and gents, I went to 4 to 1,000. I just like 150% returned my money. I went from a 4, a double up to 800, and a half a double to 1,000. Boom, bazinga, bamboozle, whatever you want to say. And I thought I was hot stuff. Then, as years progressed again, Boxes of the Dark recently popped all the way to $3,000 a box. By the way, remember, English. Sorry, I'm not talking about Italian boxes, because there are Italian in the dark. There's also like Italian legends, but we're just focusing on English, folks. And then, in the recent 2020-2021, Boxes of the Dark peaked at $10,000 a box. Pretty crazy, huh? Now, Boxes of the Dark have actually retraced. I'd say a Box of the Dark is probably around $5,000 right now. Okay? So here's the thing. If you want to acquire things like this, you essentially have to, along this timeline of 2015, 2017, I don't know, 2019. Should I put a year here? Let's put a year for you guys. Let me make it a little easier for you. Let's green. So let's put on here, I don't know, let's put on here we'll start 2015. Let's say what was this? What year was that? 2016. And then let's say this is 2018. And let's say this was 2020. And now we're at 2021. There you go. So let's look at this now. If you essentially wanted to acquire a large position of the Dark Box, you really had to pay. These are the minimum prices you would have had to pay during this time frame. As of filming this video, personal disclosure, I probably own about okay? The average cost basis is probably, because I started buying here, I bought more here, I'd say my average cost basis is $1,000 a box. Something like that, right? Who cares? Now, along that timeline, when I've commented, Boxes of the Dark were $400, and I said I'd pay them $4,600, which is because usually I had to overpay to ensure I wanted to expand the position. Okay? When Boxes of the Dark went to $1,000, I remember winning one on eBay for $1,200. I remember winning one on, or not winning one, I remember buying one on TCG Player for like $11.50. I think I even bought one in a collection deal, like 2017, it was in between here. I remember buying one in a collection deal for like $1,600. And I remember the gentleman he refused to budge on that. But he had a bunch of other ABU Full Horseman set cards, a lot of crazy nice singles. And at the time, Bizarre Baghdad, I think like a place in Bizarre Baghdad, there was 4 Bizarres in this room here. The Bizarres were like, $500, $600 at the time. And I really wanted the Bizarres. So I felt, since this guy was such a stickler on just the Box of the Dark, even though it was only worth around $1,000, I had to pay him like $1,600, which was like above market price. But he wouldn't really, so I had to kind of shuffle the numbers and just take the whole group. It was like a package collection lot deal, okay? But the point of the story is I had to overpay. So you're gonna learn a concept here that if you want to expand, if you want to buy one box of anything, you just wait, buy your one thing, no big deal. You're not gonna compete with the evil triangle hat peoples, the Timmys and the Tammys. You're not gonna deal with that. But if you want to accumulate, okay, an evil Rudy, box fort over here. If you want to build a box pyramid and you want to have 25 boxes of the Dark, such an illiquid, rare item like that is only going to be attainable by overpaying wherever the market price is. Okay? So if the market price is here, you're going to have to pay $500, $600. Market price is here, you have to buy boxes at $1,100 to $1,300 to accumulate the evil triangle Illuminati. What is that? Illuminati? You guys see that? Yeah. In order to do that and accumulate, you're going to have to overpay. Otherwise, you will not be able to get positions in certain items. And in order to justify that, you have to tell yourself that it's okay to overpay because you believe in what you're doing. Does that make sense? You gotta have to believe, folks. So anyways, essentially, as we approach part 3 of this video, you need to understand that the same principle that's being applied to real estate by evil triangle hat, Wall Street hedge fund, infinite money glitch people is been used and is currently being used by wealthier individuals to build positions in collectibles. This has been going on for years as I've done it. Okay, I would only be able to buy. In order to acquire, a large position in a rare item, that's what you have to do. In the moment of any market, whatever you think it's worth, you're going to have to swallow that pill, and you're going to have to stomach the Chuck Norris fist, and you will have to pay more than you're comfortable. If you believe in the item, real estate, a stock, a collectible, cryptocurrency, Rudy coin, I don't know, whatever the hot coin is at this moment. It's probably still Bitcoin or Ethereum or Cardano, always the hot stuff. If you're into that, whatever you're into, whatever category you're in, there are many moments in life you have to overcome, and that's okay. So, why, do you ask? The point of the why is that it's a battle against yourself, and it's a battle against your own buyer's remorse. Most of you who were around on this channel many years ago, you guys know one of my original videos in 2016 was the birth and start of Alpha Investments publicly. And in 2016, I made a video. I told the public that when I bought my Alpha PSA 10 Underground C, which I don't know what the value is today, maybe $100, $150 for the card, who knows. When I bought that card for $850, I even showed you guys the original receipt. You can go back to Rudy, type in showing the receipts on my channel. And there's a video where I show the receipts. I found my old folder receipts from years ago I saved of me buying PSA 10. It's a great video. I filmed it in a little warehouse. I don't think it was this location. It was one. Anyway, if you haven't seen that video, I highly encourage it. It's a great video. And I tell people how after I bought that Alpha PSA 10 Underground C, I had buyer's remorse, and I called the company to return the card because an Alpha Underground C was only $400 or $500, and I had paid about $850 or $860 with shipping. I paid about $850 for the card, and it was almost double market price. And I felt like I had such buyer's remorse and regret and uncomfortableness. I legitimately tried to return it. The only reason I didn't return it is the company just said, hey, no big deal, but we're going to charge you 10-20% restocking fee because of the cost of credit card transactions and blah, 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 shipping. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm not going to bust your balls. That's fair. I'll keep the card. That's the only reason I kept the card. Obviously, $850 investment went up 100x, and it's worth $100 grand. Still have it. I don't care if it goes to $1 million. I'm never going to sell it. I mean, it's such a piece of me and historical path of what's happened. It doesn't really have a dollar amount to me. And a lot of things I do on this channel, and a lot of things we discuss, because you've been around a long time, you've learned that it really, no matter what you'll read or people do on the channel, the money is very secondary because, as I've told everybody, when you start a business or you try to design or build something, you know what you're doing and you're very passionate about it, the money will come naturally. You don't need to try to scam people. You don't need to try to manipulate people. Just build the business, enjoy it. Put tons of hours. I'm talking, if you're not doing minimum 60 hours a week, then I'm sorry. You're a slacker and you're lazy and you're making up fake excuses that you don't have time. Please, you're watching stupid stuff and you're watching Netflix, you're watching YouTube, blah, blah, blah. Point is, I knew eventually the money would come. Now, I never imagined in a million years things would get to this level of how expensive, and how big the channel and everything's gotten, but I knew the concept in the fundamental principle of alpha investments and collectibles would hold true long term. And it did, a little bit better than I thought. But that's really the history of it. So, I knew a lot of this stuff and I've applied it. But it's interesting to see why it happened in 2021 with new categories like real estate and all this other stuff. Because now that I've given you all this example, I think that makes more sense on why you see these crazy prices. Remember, a lot of people always look at these charts and go, who would pay this? Like, think about this, folks. Here, hold on. Do we have a box? Here, hold on. Who would pay $3,000 for a box of the dark when they were $400 24 months ago? Who would pay that? Well, if you did, the box went for $10,000. But Rudy, who would pay $10,000? You'd be a moron. Well, if you did, you lost half your money. See, it's a scam. It's a bubble. Investment. It's the same one box. You traded 20 investments. Whatever stupid thing you want to hear on the internet. It's hilarious. What is this? Modern Masters 20. Modern Masters 25. The paperwork from the tower. The Modern Masters 25. Oh, Masters 25. Yeah. Feels like yesterday. February 15th, 2018. Just 3.5 years ago. Feels like After 25 was yesterday, man. God. That's, you know, I tell everyone that stuff, man. People are so obsessed and emotional on these short-term little upticks or downticks. You don't realize how short, how fast life goes by. If you don't pay attention, you miss it. And if you're emotional and angry, you miss it. You don't think straight. And when you step back, you just, like I always say, you know, talking or discussing this stuff, asking questions is important. The most important trait and attribute of any successful person is to just do less, and sit back and watch everybody else. Watch people make fun of you. Watch people make their moves. Watch things go up, watch things go down, and just sit back and watch. By listening and watching, you'll acquire more knowledge and skill long term than anything else in this world. It is by far the most valuable item on the skill tree. If this was, you know, Diablo 2 or Diablo 2 Remastered or PoE, Baldur's Gate or whatever you're playing, you know, at the end of the day, paying attention and learning from patterns and rhythm and repetition is so valuable. And you know, you can't let emotions cloud this stuff. So I thought you guys would understand this is why these things happened. This is how I was able to do this. Why I was comfortable buying 20, 30 boxes of the dark, because I believed in it. And even today, even at $5,000 a box, if somebody contacted me with a case of 10 boxes of the dark, he said, Rudy, I want 50 grand for a case of 10 boxes of the dark. You know, I'd probably do it. I'd pay 50 grand for 10 boxes of the dark. I would. Now, do I believe there's cases of the dark and stuff out there? Probably not. Do I think there's some loose boxes out there? Sure. Do I think there are thousands of boxes left in the world of the dark? No. I don't even think there is 1,000 boxes of the dark left in the world. And that's the funny thing about life, folks. So now we're going to move to another part of this video. Thought you guys would appreciate all that. So let's go to something different here. I'm leaving my palm tree. Don't make fun of my palm tree. And I'm going to stand by the palm tree here. Here's Rudy. You know how that's me. Look at the size of my hat. That's the size of my effing hat, bro. Okay. So next in part 3 of this video, let's talk about something different, shall we? Let's talk about Flesh and Blood, MetaZoo, or should we talk about reserveless singles? What should we go and do? Let's jump into. Let's do a Flesh and Blood. Let's get some thumbs down. There's usually not enough thumbs down. Too many people like this. If we have a Flesh and Blood segment, thumbs down will pick up. So today we're going to talk about Fab. Here's a Fab box. There you go. It's a 3D picture of a Fab box. Fab. Which box should we pick on? Should we pick on Monarch, or is it still too soon? Let's pick on Monarch. Let's pick on Monarch. Monarch First Edition. Mon to 1K, right? Right? To the moon. Monarch to 1K, right? I think I'm known for that by now. It's hilarious. I love it. It's so much fun. Okay, so let's talk about Monarch. Obviously, Monarch First Edition came out. It's $650 a box. Okay, the 2 boxes at the peak would have been $1,300. Obviously, for those of you not aware, I ran my Patreon sale and I sold 2 boxes of Monarch First Edition, plus the promo, the cold foil and the playmat for $1,000, $9.99 and 69 cents a gig. So for $1,000, I sold 2 boxes plus the promo items. As of the filming this video, Monarch First Edition boxes bottomed at $200, and as of the filming this video, Monarch First Edition boxes are $280 each, shipped to your door with taxes or whatever, or maybe plus tax on eBay. So obviously, from a peak of $650 to $280, that's a pretty big decline. That's about 50%. 50% off the highs, or 55% off the highs. Okay? The promo items are actually still quite valuable. I think the promo playmats are like $100 still, and I think the card's like $300. So technically, the promo items are still $400 plus. Yeah, I guess technically you're still up a few percent before fees. Not really. Call it break even. Not really that exciting. So what's going to happen next is the real question. Alright, so now, on part 4 of this video, what's going to happen next? Well, full disclosure, I now have a good solid 1,000 and change boxes. So the Rudy Pyramid has been rebuilt over here of Monarch First Edition. I think I'm probably around, let's say 1,100 boxes in the Rudy Vault. The RV, the Rudy Vault. Here, hold on, RV, here you go. There's the wheels for the Rudy RV. I have too much fun doing this. And yeah, that's what happened. So the market tanked. I started buying more boxes again at $200 when the market tanked. A lot of people sold me their boxes at $200 because they felt it was going to go all the way down to 50, 60 bucks and flush and blows a bubble, and it finally crashed, and the investors and nobody plays the game, and it's a fake international money laundering scam. I don't know, whatever we want to say. Anyway, who cares? So here's the thing about this. As with all markets, prices tend to overshoot to the upside and overshoot to the downside. I agree that I thought 650 was a little too high. I thought that was a little too high for release. I thought the boxes were going to peak at about 500, 600. Okay, that's what I thought. But they actually broke to actually maybe a little higher. I think there were some sold listings, like 680. So a little higher than I thought. But I also knew 200, that rubber band was being pulled way too low for fear and FUD and panic and uncertainty and doubt, and so which means the true price is probably somewhere in the middle. Well, the middle of 650 and 200, what is that, 425 range? I do believe that in the next 90 days, especially post Tales of Aria, once the market sees what's going to happen, I think Monarch First Edition is going to level out of that 350, 400 range. And I think that's kind of a fair, normal price. And my rationale for that is that I still believe an alpha box should probably be 10K. I think an ARC box should maybe be 5K. A crew box should be 2K. A Mon box I still think will be 1K. And I think the new Tails box should be 500. I guess there's no K, sorry. Oop. Let's kind of make that a little nicer. And 500, how about that? I think that's going to kind of be the longer term goal here. I believe it or not, I actually think the launch of Tails is going to really catch a lot of people off guard because a lot of stores backed away. A lot of people got burned. A lot of people didn't like it. You're going to see a lot of people kind of step back, which is actually going to make this an even better opportunity than Monarch because people are going to use a previous experience in previous price memory and apply that to a new product even though there's no real correlation to how the market works. I actually believe that